you put ketchup on, Tony?
What don't you put ketchup on? Hot dogs, burgers, French fries, pickles, chicken nuggets, whatever you want.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Do you actually pull out a pickle, put ketchup on it, and eat that?
That's not the direction you would go. So you have ketchup in a bowl, and then you dip your pickles in it. Yeah, absolutely. This started in high school because we used to do chicken patty day. So chicken patty, you dunk in the ketchup, and then the pickles. You grab a handful of pickles, just dip them right in that ketchup. Oh, the salt on that already salty pickle. I mean, it's heaven. They go together so perfectly.
Now, would you eat
a
pickle that had a pretzel center?
I don't know. Those textures would be weird, don't you think?
I'm asking you.
I'm trying to think.
I don't dip my pickles in ketchup, so there you go.
First of all, you should try it. One time, just give a little dippy dip. Because would your pretzel get all soggy because of the pickle juice? Because then it's like a soft bread. And then I think the answer is yes. You know what I mean? Because that sounds pretty good.
So that's what you want. You want you know what you want? You want a soft pretzel with a pickle center.
Oh, yeah. The reverse would be pretty good. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah. Also really cool to make if you somehow rope that pickle around. I'd be very impressed with that.
Hey, watch it! With Dan and Tony! Hey, watch it! With Dan and Tony! It's Hey, watch it, yeah!
Welcome to Hey Watching with Dan and Tony. I'm Dan!
I'm Tony!
On this show, we watch a movie. This week, I picked the movie. The movie I picked was 1996, The Phantom, an hour and 40 minutes, starring Billy Zane. Was that like Kristy Swanson? Who was the girl?
Yeah, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the OG.
Oh, yeah. I did not recognize her at all.
Or Carlton Lassiter's wife in Psych, if you want to go forward in time.
Just like people always say, Patrick McGowan and what's his name? Treat Williams.
Treat Williams, there you go.
The only one, and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Treat Williams, Catherine Zeta-Jones, the only ones really trying.
I mean, Treat's given. Billy might be trying.
Billy's trying something. He's trying something.
He's not succeeding on any level, but he's probably trying. But yeah, Treat, not to, pun intended, Treat was a treat.
He was in the movie you wanted to see.
He brought that camp, and nobody else brought any sort of camp
Catherine Zeta-Jones did a little bit.
That's true. That's true. Also, I didn't realize she was in it until she appeared, and I was like, wait a second. I know that person.
Yeah, I was like, who is this very attractive woman? Then you're like, oh, okay.
Like, oh, yes, of course. Now I remember.
Great.
Great.
Yeah, The Phantom. I looked it up, and the X-Men movie came out 4 years later.
Okay. Yeah,
and that's when I think the real contemporary superhero movies started.
When did Spider-Man come out then? Was that after X-Men? We should have a timeline of
That's true.
superhero
It'd be
movies.
Interesting to see when that first, by first we mean the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Yeah, in my mind, the first. The OG. Okay, 2002.
Oh, so yeah, I think the X-Men movie, because the X-Men movie did something that this movie didn't do, which was put them in costumes that didn't make it embarrassing.
I mean, I don't want to be mean, but that is the dumbest looking. If I went to work, I'm Billy Zane, right?
You went to work wearing that?
I show up to work and I'm in this purple leotard. I'm quitting. I'm walking off the movie, man. This poor guy.
And I remember seeing that first X-Men movie and kind of like going like with the costumes were all kind of the same. They were all not all the same, but they were, all kind of leather. They were like
uniformy. Yeah.
There was a uniformness to them. Each one was different for each character, of course, and you kind of like, I won't say I bristled against it. I was like, I don't know, but looking
a lot
back,
of people felt that way though. But yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because they're like, well, these aren't comic book accurate. Like, where are my superheroes? But at the time, this was the right decision because it doesn't look stupid. You may not love it. It's not like iconic. I don't look back on that and be like, wow, those were great. but they're serviceable and they don't detract from the movie at all. And then the movie was good. So it all worked out really, really well for X-Men.
It's a very good choice that this movie did not make.
I mean, but also good for them for going for it. You know,
sure.
like they were like, if we're going to do it, let's do it. And it didn't work out. Sometimes that happens.
If we're going to fail, let's make a purple leotard, but then put a bunch of lines on it.
Yeah, which is it, and they're not like, you know, the old like Superman ones where they accentuate muscles, and like Batman had the, you know, nipples eventually,
big
but
plastic nipples,
big plastic nipples on Clooney, but like he's got the plastic abs, you know, like, but that's not what we were doing here.
No,
they're just, I don't even know what they are. They don't accentuate anything. Are they just like sew lines that we didn't feel like hiding?
They're
I have no idea.
They were just, well, Jim Henson Creature Shop made the costume.
Oh man! Oh, we're making fun of Jim. Wow, shame on us.
So somebody had some sort of concept, and it got carried through, and it just your eyes never look at it and go like, that was a good choice. Your eyes are always like, well, that's a choice they made.
That's something
we have to live with it.
I would love to see the meeting where they pulled that suit out, because there's a great. You didn't watch Entourage, right?
Yeah, watch the whole thing.
One of my favorite things is when
they
wheel out the Aquaman suit.
I don't remember
and it's
that.
like shimmery and awful, and they're like, it's going to look better on screen. And it's like, no, it's not. It's definitely not. Don't do it. And I feel like there had to have been a conversation where they're like, okay, it looks a little silly on the mannequin, Billy, but trust us, it's going to look great on celluloid. I
mean, amazingly, he played the suit well. He never acted self-conscious about being in the suit. He was just like,
no. He was just like a regular dude, to be honest with you. He was just like, yeah, this is what I wear. Oh, this is fine. I don't know. Let's go out.
It makes perfect sense. I mean, and that's the whole thing, you know, with movies, you know, a more contemporary movie is you have to make sense of it somewhere. That's, you know, it's like if you're going to put something so crazily anachronistic, because that's the thing is this movie is what year did Indiana Jones come out? This is 96. Indiana Jones must have came out.
We talking Temple of Doom?
The first one.
I think I'm gonna look it up. 84.
So it's 12 years later, but this movie, you know, they steal a number of very specific things directly from it.
Yeah, for sure.
And Indiana Jones smartly wore a dirty hat and a
very sexy open tan, like it's a very plain looking outfit, but it's rugged, you know, like it makes him a man.
It's iconic, and people will cosplay as that. You know, you always want to sort of see, what do people cosplay as? And
I thought I had my Indiana Jones hat here. I think I have it at home. I have the hat, the shirt, the whip, and the satchel. Because I've done Fat Indy, which is a little bit different, but it's similar.
You just get hit by the giant rock ball.
I don't get out of the way of anything. Every
it
booby
hits
trap
it breaks.
That's right. Come on.
So, you know, you kind of think to the cosplay world, you know, you got to look at your thing. And I mean, I assume some people wear those 1990 or 2000 X-Men costumes, but not a lot.
Not a lot, but I think they would get a lot of pictures at a Comic-Con, you know, because now it's like a classic thing. Yeah. At the time, it probably wasn't that cool. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about those things, but I'm going back through my brain and thinking about how many phantoms I've seen walking around.
Not a lot.
Hasn't been a lot.
Not a lot of phantoms. And Dan's done plenty of conventions, everybody.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Phantom. It started as an American comic strip in 1936.
Does that predate like
Superman?
Oh, wow. Superman. Yeah,
he is the first real tighted character. First
really?
Character in tights. He's the first.
But he was black and white then, right?
Comic strip. Purple. He's purple. They made a serial. They made a serial.
They didn't do black
of him.
and white comics. Is that weird that I thought comics were black and white originally, just like television?
Sunday comics were. They went right into
colored ink. Sunday. Wasn't invented until 1994. Everybody.
Actually, you are correct, Tony. In 1936, it would have just been a weekly, and it would have been in black and white. So when it went to color, I think it was in 38, after 38 or 39 after 2 years.
But still, long before,
purple.
Sure.
So he was black and white, and they chose when they made a color decision.
Such an interesting choice to be like, maybe it's because it was so vibrant that they were like, well, now that we're going color, like, let's make this guy pop.
I remember as a kid and a comic book person, there was an ad in the DC Comics for like a thing that they would send you every week or something that would have Sunday comics in it. And the Phantom had a bunch of characters, Tarzan and Flash Gordon. And the Phantom was one of the ones in there. And you were always kind of like, ooh, who is this?
Who's this guy? Look at him, fancy purple. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you find out he's just a guy that rides around on a horse in the jungle and has no powers and doesn't really do anything interesting.
No powers, right? I mean, the ring does something eventually, but that's the skull doing it technically, and not him.
That's made up for the movie. That's the character.
Oh, that's not even like, wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so he's just a dude that chose to wear purple and ride a horse.
He's a horse guy. He's a gun guy. He's going to shoot you with his two guns. Got two guns.
I just as a general concept, I don't like this hero. I don't like, that's not interesting to me.
But that's, he's pre. So the only things before him are like the Shadow and a couple other pulp, the pulps were already
was like
going.
Lone Ranger? When was that sort of thing?
Lone Ranger's 32 probably, I would say. So we got the Lone Ranger, you got the Shadow. So the mask is established. But, the true tights wearing guy who is wearing tights for
powers. And
the powers comes along with Superman and Batman and Captain.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just interesting because it feels different to me than like the Lone Rangers. It's definitely the bridge between that sort of thing and superheroes, right?
He's an ultimately transitional character.
Yeah. It's interesting.
And as such he doesn't
do anything.
He doesn't do it. He doesn't. The Lone Ranger, we know where he is. We're interested in the Old West, or if you are interested in the Old West, you get it. You get what he does.
100%.
You get what Superman does, people with heat rays and stuff like that. The Phantom, you're like, he lives in an African jungle.
Cave. Yep.
lives in, the first time he shows up in the movie in the cave, you're just like, he lives in a cave.
What's he doing there? Why is this happening?
And all action has to be within, a horse ride away. You're like,
super weird. But then also I'm confused because at some point he just flies to New York City.
Yeah.
Which is like, is he rich?
Well,
is he like
school.
Batman level rich? He went to college, but his dad was the Phantom, and then the Phantom before that was the grandpa, right? Like, it's the lineage. So who's making money in this family?
Oh, well,
where is the family wealth coming from?
Bags of opals.
The treasure?
Remember when he takes the cab, he has just a bag of
plastic
opals?
Gems? Yeah, I remember those quite well.
That's his big scam.
They look so bad.
They look so bad.
So
God, they look so fake.
It's incredible. Man. I laughed a lot during this movie. This was a real treat.
Good.
Thank you for picking this, Dan.
It was a movie. Does it cause you a pain? Does it cause you a lot of pain? No, but it's not good.
So I had a question for you, and I don't know. Did you do research on this at all?
A little, yeah.
I read like a very small thing, and the whole time this movie was happening, I just couldn't help wondering: was this originally meant to be a satire?
Yes,
because
a little bit.
Feels
yes.
Okay, because there's a lot of moments where I'm like, well, if you're writing a real movie, you wouldn't write that line. It's just not possible.
Yes, no.
You know what I mean?
Joe Dante, who did Gremlins.
Sure.
And Explorers, I think he was the director before they got this guy, which this guy was the Free Willy guy.
Oh boy, Free Willy.
And did Lonesome Dove, and he did one other movie that we did that was really bad. He was
interesting.
He was an Australian director. I don't know, you can look it up if you want. But yeah, he definitely a workman director who got in there and took the notes, and the notes were, to not make it it wasn't necessarily a parody, but they they were playing more on the, because Treat Williams is in that movie, the campy movie where
he is.
But this one,
it felt like, in my mind, everything else got rewritten except for the Treat and Catherine. Like that little segment of the villains never got rewrote, but the other stuff was like, play it a little straighter. We gotta be the straight and narrow on this. It kind of felt a little bit like Batman, the TV show back in the day, with the pow, wham.
Oh, you mean the 66 show?
Yes, the 60s exactly. Batman. Except for Billy Zane isn't playing that movie.
Well, they also don't give him much to do as the Phantom.
Oh, for sure. That's for sure.
You're like, dude, give him some lines that push him in a direction. Like, I don't know.
He's got one really great line, which we'll talk about when we get there. But he has my favorite line in the movie that's delivered so underwhelmingly bad that it ruins the joke. But to me, it was my favorite joke in the whole movie.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So, if he was sort of, he's like, if he needed to make a comment about like living in a cave in a jungle, you have to comment on that, because it's just
needs
so
to
weird.
comment about that. When the lady, what is her name in the movie? The blonde or the she's not blonde in this. Diana. How does she not say something? She's like back at his house and they're just having a regular conversation. Why is she not like, so you live in a cave? What is going on? Why are you wearing a purple jumpsuit? What's happening? Who are you? It's weird.
Yeah, you just needed to comment on some of these things. And then the other character comes back with a comment, and then we can sit with it and we can be like, well, that's what happens. He's like, it's the cave.
It is what it is.
Low rent, or whatever the joke is. Should we start talking about this movie?
All right,
Since we haven't spent any time talking about the movie.
Right. I'm trying to find the movie that we did, that this director did. Boy, he did a lot of stuff. Good for him.
He did a lot of stuff. I mean, he did Lonesome Dove, which I think they did for quite a while. And it's interesting that he did The Phantom, because The Phantom's pretty huge in Australia. So
really?
You'll see a lot of Australian people are all like, oh yeah, The Phantom. As opposed to
he did Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man,
which had some
great
good jokes.
stuff.
Had some good jokes in it.
Did.
Had some
very good.
I have one other thing off topic, really quick. Adam Savage, the guy that did Mythbusters, he has like a YouTube podcasty kind of show, and he was talking about Robin Williams and his interactions. And at a certain point, he gets to Bicentennial Man, which we did.
Great movie. Yeah, great film.
Not a great movie.
Perfect film, cover to cover.
And he says, the suit was great. One of the best hard suits, that goes over a person. He's like, the aesthetics of it can be argued. So I was just like, I just wanted to hear, I don't think he worked on the suit, but, he was he did props on the movie. And I was like, oh, he also worked on Flubber, and remember the little gooey guy that flubbered around? He worked on that. And you're like, oh, these are two very similar things where it's like, maybe in the right way, maybe it just needed to be whatever. So.
Well, here's the thing. Flubber, way better than Bicentennial Man, even just as a movie in general, but also, the suit is pretty bad. Bicentennial
It's very, very hideous.
Pretty bad.
Oh, and they had the weird woman robot. Oh, yeah, there were some bad things in Bicentennial Man. Bad things.
You mean good? They were great.
So we start off, pirates attack this boat off the island of Bengala. The dad is killed. The kid goes onto the island, the magic ceremony, and they make him into the thing. I guess his dad was dying right there. Did they say his dad got killed on the boat?
So this is not, the kid is not Billy Zane. You know that, right?
What are you talking
about? This is 400 years ago.
Oh.
This is the first Phantom.
Oh.
It took me so long to figure this out. This is the first Phantom.
He's the 21st Phantom.
Exactly. So this is like the very first guy. We're seeing how the vengeance started, which is those pirates killed somebody's dad, and then that kid escaped, became the Phantom, and then he's just passed it down from generation to generation, somehow accumulating enough wealth that they don't have to work a day in their lives. That's what we need to do, Dan.
That I missed all that.
But no, they don't tell you that, Dan. So the only reason I know that is because later in the movie, they talk about how the henchman killed Billy Zane's dad by stabbing him in the back. And I was like, well, that's not what we saw in the beginning of the movie. So then I had to go back and I was like, holy shit, this is 400 years ago. This is like the old Phantom guy. And that's how you know this movie's not very good, because we don't even realize that there's 400 years of difference between these two time periods.
Very good. So what we do now is we spend Act 1 with the lower level bad guy.
Yeah.
Tony, when you're writing your movie, do you say, you know who we need to spend all our time with? A lower level bad guy.
Well, shout out to Elko, who made a whole short about that, by the way, called The Henchman.
There it is.
But no, I mean, you wouldn't. Not if you're going to then introduce the main villain and it turns out he's a big part of your story and is the main villain. You know what I mean? Like if the main villain was a side character and for some reason you wanted to follow this henchman, maybe he has a change of heart. Maybe we find out he's got, a wife and kids and he's struggling to figure out the balance between good and evil. But this guy's just like a guy and he just dies eventually. So there's no reason that he is the lead of this movie. And I love it. It's very weird.
It's unexpected. Unexpected in its stupidity is that we're going to be spending a lot of time with this random henchman.
So much time with him.
So he's driving a truck to go steal this skull. He's got two guys in the front. We've got a guy in the front with him and a kid. No, he's got two guys in the front with him and a kid. They get to the rickety bridge. They all go across. They make the kid.
Were you just going to skip over the part where he tries to elbow the kid in the face?
No, I didn't remember that.
It's so weird. He's getting annoyed with the kid, so he goes to elbow the kid in the face, like just crush his face. The kid ducks, and he hits the seat, and they make like a weird joke about it. This is the weirdest scene in a movie that's very strange. This is such a weird way to enter your movie because it doesn't really explain any of the characters.
No.
You have people that you barely see again, and then you have this guy that is not even important to the movie, really, but that is here prominently. And also, I have a question about the skulls. Can you explain the skulls? Not to derail this podcast that's going so well. The skulls gave the Phantom his power. No, they didn't.
No, they're just why? The skulls just make a laser. The skulls are just a laser. That's all they are. They're laser components.
That can't be right, though.
Because
they make such a big deal about these skulls and how you can't get all three. You'll be so powerful. But then all it does is it's a Ghostbuster stream. That's all it is.
Makes a laser. Yeah, it's a laser. Yeah.
Two of them make a laser pointer and three make a laser.
Make a laser. Yeah, that's what they do. They make a laser. Think about it.
Any sense.
And that's, the key to movies is the smart way to make a movie is you make the enemy, the bad thing, personal, right?
Sure. Make it matter to somebody.
You bring it to a small level. And if you're doing a comedy, you make it a very small thing. Right. So then, an absurdly small thing. I'm obsessed with this. Thus we go on our adventure and it doesn't really matter whether it fails or whatever. Or you make it as big as possible, which, the Avengers did that when they made the Chikari or whatever space lizard things. And you get to that, you're just like, oh man, I truly do not care about any of this. So it's like if you go too high, but then the even worse than going too high is making your thing that's supposed to be the most important thing in the world, and it's just dumb.
It's nothing. But then also, Dan, what does the fourth skull do that just happens to be on his finger?
Oh, they say they say the fourth skull controls the other three skulls, which is not true. The fourth skull can just negate the three skulls.
Sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
If you try really hard, you have to push your finger at it really hard.
Willpower.
So if it didn't, why do they care so much? Because the ghost dad is like, how could you let this fall into their hands? But it doesn't matter.
Because they're going to be able to laser, I shot a guy. I shot another guy. I shot a guy. I mean, it would be very helpful.
It's not even a big laser, though.
No, it's not a big laser. If you're going up against a
understand.
tank just has range on you and it just shoots you and you would
Right,
die.
and then you're just done.
The skulls would just be sitting there. Yeah, no.
All right. I'm sorry.
Well,
I didn't mean to disrupt the flow.
It also can just vaporize a person. It'll cut through metal.
Someone turned to dust. Yeah.
And it hits you and you just vaporize. Yeah.
Which makes perfect sense because chemistry.
So the bad guys need their truck across the bridge. And so they make the kid drive the truck across the bridge. You're kind of like, why would the kid do that? Why would the kid just leave?
Because they don't think it's going to make it. So they're like, one of us needs to stay behind. So they make this 8-year-old kid drive the truck across.
Yeah, but why does the kid even do that? Why doesn't he just leave?
I don't know.
Why is the kid? It's like, we have this kid. Is he working for you? We don't know. Like
he's the one telling them where to go.
Oh,
he's giving them directions.
Why is he telling them where to go?
Because otherwise he's going to get elbowed in the face. Remember, it's really bad stuff.
He drives the truck. It gets across fine.
They do this thing where they're on the other side of the bridge. The bad guys walked across and they were like, "Hey kid, drive it because we don't think it's gonna make it." And the kid like hits the gas at the end, and all three of these bad guys are like, "Whoa, hit the brakes!" But he just very slowly goes up and stops in plenty of time. There's never a moment where they look like they're in danger, but they all act like they're in supreme danger, and it's a very silly little scene.
There's all sorts of funny things you could have done.
I'm sure.
We're not going to spend any more time on this. They go to a certain distance and they go, "We're going on foot from here." And then,
so why did you need the truck? Like, how far are you going? They're not telling us how far they're going, but it doesn't feel like they're going that far. And they probably didn't need the truck.
They did not need the truck. They get to the cave. There's a native observing them, which the native could have just shot arrows into them, killed them all very easily.
For sure.
Very easily. There's a spider. There's dead people. And they go through there, and then they find this gold skull hanging out there. And they're like, the dude's like, "Got it." And then we learn Mr. Drax is going to be very happy. So they're there on orders from Drax. I wrote when they're getting the skull, this one skeleton comes to life and kills a dude. Yeah.
So it very clearly... we cut to this thing, and the guy is holding these just, like biology classroom skeleton, just holding the hands around his own neck and pretending to get choked.
Oh, sure.
It's probably the funniest thing that I've seen in a long time because his whole body is jumping up and down, and the arms are just like doing this while it's choking him. But we don't know why it comes to life. Nothing else ever comes to life again in this entire movie. And then he just dies from it. Like within seconds, people are shooting the skeleton. Nothing happens. And then he dies. And then the skeleton goes back to being a skeleton, even though someone else then goes and picks up the skull.
Yeah.
So it's not like the skeleton was protecting the skull.
It's got one for one.
It's all of the ghost energy it had left. And now it has to recharge for another 400 years.
They get it out of there. We hear the drums. We have scared animal footage. And then here sitting in the cave is the Phantom. He's got a dog named Devil. Do you know what the name of his horse is? Oh, he's got a wolf. Sorry, no dog.
It's a wolf. Your dog is a wolf, which is a very funny line in this movie. Is it Angel? Did he just... Hero. That's not exactly the opposite of devil, by the way.
Don't think he ever says it in the movie. I just looked that up.
Okay, I had no idea.
Yeah. He goes after. He attacks the bad guys on horseback. He knocks down one guy and he's like, "Devil, you just stand here and guard him because you can't hurt anybody in this movie." Everybody, that
is correct.
I fell down and I'm sitting here and I'm not going to do any more bad.
It's family friendly. Okay, these guys give up very easily. To be fair though, if I was in a fight and somebody like popped me in the nose, I think I would just quit the fight. Like, my nose is very sensitive. And I would just be like, you know what? I'm sorry. This was a mistake. I would like to go now. Thank you so much for your time.
I would fight to the end.
And I respect that about you, but I just, I don't like pain.
Jumps on the truck, fights the bad guys. The bad guy has the tattoo of the spider web, which means that he's part of the people that attacked the boat when he was a kid, but it wasn't the boat when he was a kid.
Right. But how is he a part of this brotherhood? We never is anybody else in the bad guy organization a part of this brotherhood? I think it's just him.
Oh, and all the pirates at the cave at the end.
No, yeah, exactly. So that's the brotherhood of this, whatever. I don't remember what it's called. I feel bad.
SANGH.
But somehow this one white dude is part of this brotherhood, and he is bringing a bunch of guys that are not a part of this brotherhood. It doesn't make any sense here.
Doesn't make any sense. Let me write that down. Doesn't make any sense. Got it. He jumps on the truck, bad guy with tattoo on the bridge, hanging out of the truck. He grabs the kid. He catches a vine, he shoots a vine, and they swing to safety, and then the bad guys in this time period have just all left, just gotten away.
Left. Yeah, they just went home. They just went home. They were like, okay, you win this round, buddy, and then they just left.
No, he won. They won. The bad guys won the round because they got the skull.
Oh, that's right. They did get the skull. You're right.
Yeah,
so they left.
We win. We're leaving.
Here's my problem.
Yeah.
They're hanging from somehow this truck gets wrapped up in vines.
Yeah, the vines go over the top of it somehow.
Somehow they go over the top and grab it, and then the bridge turns upside down, and the truck is hanging upside down.
Thankfully.
Locked in vines somehow, which
thankfully. Yes.
Oh, sure, thankfully. Doesn't make any sense, Dan. They didn't drive through anything different that they hadn't driven through before. What are these vines? I don't know. But then he's hanging on a vine with the kid. He shoots the other side of the vine.
Yes.
Now, if you just mathematically speaking, if this vine, it would not work. They splattered into the side of this mountain without a doubt. You can't, somehow they traveled up. It doesn't make any sense. I didn't like it. Think of a different way to get out of it.
At the Jungle Patrol Station, we meet the captain. We learn about some looters. And we learn about the ghost who walks, and then everybody's like, he's immortal. And the captain's like, no such thing. Now we get to Tony's favorite scene.
Dan, just real quickly, though, like the ghost who walks doesn't sound like someone dressed up in a purple leotard. You know what I mean? I found that a little off-putting. If I thought he was a ghost, that's not what would come to my mind.
Because we don't really even understand what the system is here, right?
Nope.
We're like, well, who are these are the British that are in control of something, and who are they fighting against, and what are they controlling?
Who is he fighting against? He lives in a cave on an island that doesn't get a lot of visitors.
Well, he fights looters and poachers and people looking for the dinosaur graveyard, shit like that.
Do they mention a dinosaur graveyard in this movie?
No, but
that would be cool. And the 3 skulls. Don't forget or 4 skulls. Sorry.
He doesn't even know. He never even heard of them. Which you'd think if that young boy knew where the cave was that had the gold skull in it.
There's obviously some sort of myth to it that everybody seems to know.
And your problem with all this is we've all seen Indiana. We've all seen Indiana Jones.
Yeah, unfortunately we have. Yeah.
Everything in Indiana Jones is set up so, that first act in Indiana Jones is unimpeachable. I mean, that probably if you really look at that whole movie, it's unimpeachable, but just all the beats to that first thing.
Yeah, for sure. Because they basically invented the perfect movie.
Yeah, going through here we are with the guide. We get to the thing. We go there. We go traps, traps, traps. We get to the thing. We do the sand shift, gets the gold thing, runs out the ball, shoots out. Boom, there's Belloc. Give me the skull. He runs away.
Start your movie.
Start the plane.
Right.
Jumps on the plane, flies away, and we're just like, what just, I remember the day. I don't remember a lot of days I went to see movies. I remember the day I stood outside a theater, at 11 o'clock in the morning. I was one of like the 12 people to go in and see Indiana Jones in a preview, no less.
Wow.
Before it even come out was it the Fox Theater, wherever, what the Fox Theater used to be, and you just remember watching that movie going like, okay, this is like, I got to have Star Wars and Indiana Jones as childhood things I got to see very early on. And you're just like, okay, What the hell?
Well, I got to see Monster Squad and the Lost Boys as a child. So, I mean, I think I'm winning out of the two of us.
Oh, that's so sad. Okay.
Two of the greatest films ever made.
Talk about
you know what? 4 of them. How about that? I'll give yours a little love, too.
Talk about the topless scene, Tony.
When Billy Zane's just hanging out naked and his buddy is like telling him to read a book, and then his dad appears. I don't understand this exactly, if I'm being 100% honest with you. So they're reading some sort of
he's doing research.
What do you call it? Yeah, but like a book on the island. Is that what
so he has his tomes from all over the world. He's doing his research to find out about the skull. The little Asian boy is putting, of course, they're in Africa, but he has like an Indian Asian boy who's his servant who, it's like, if you want to see a movie where everybody in the movie is white, except maybe the final villain, there's a lot of white people.
On this island, no less. Like it's very confusing. I didn't understand where we were for most of the movie.
So the kid is putting salves on his wounds, and he's like, "Go away, kid! I don't need any salves on my wounds." It's like you can't. Batman does not tell Alfred to F off when Alfred's trying to fix up the Batman.
Well, Alfred would beat the shit out of him.
Yes,
but he is topless and he is cut up. Billy got in shape for this movie. I'll tell you that. Mr. Zane looks good.
We find out
and this is pre-Titanic, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Way pre-Titanic.
Yeah, good for him.
Titanic's probably like 10 years later, at least.
10? I can't be 10. That's too many.
Let's see if it's before 2006, 2005. Okay. So there's these 3 skulls. The bad guys now have 1. They got to get 2 more to have this energy source. And then his dad shows up we find out that his dad is a ghost, Patrick McGowan. He just shows up and gives him crap. Mostly just gives him crap.
Pretty much. It's the weirdest. I just don't understand what's happening. He like shows up and kind of makes fun of him a little bit, calls him an idiot kind of, and is like, you let him get the skull? Boy, oh boy, what a disappointment. And then he disappears. When this guy disappeared, Dan, I was so confused. I didn't understand what was happening at all. It took me a while to figure out that this person is either in his head or is an actual ghost. We never learn what the truth is.
He's a ghost.
Are you sure?
Yeah, for sure.
Why can nobody else see him ever? That's not how ghosts work, is it?
I mean, it can be. They regulate that shit.
They can control who sees him and who doesn't. That's pretty nice.
We go to Long Island, New York. There's a party. We meet Diana, and it's a charity dinner. Xander Drax. Oh wait, we learn that Xander Drax is a New York guy. He's a thug. She goes into the kitchen.
Except for he's not a thug. He's actually quite posh. You know what I mean? Like when they describe him as a thug, I was very surprised when it was Treat Williams. And he was acting not like a thug. You know what I mean?
He's like he's a rich guy that's in control of the police and the mob and everything. He's got it all. In the kitchen, she gets hit on by this floppy guy. She's making herself a sandwich. We find out the dad runs a newspaper, and they're working on the story of your life. And somebody, maybe Drax is talking to him, and he's like, Drax shows up, Treat Williams.
Yeah.
Very fun. Drax is like, maybe I'll just buy your newspaper, right? Because the newspaper's going to write a bad article about him. And he's like, maybe I'll just buy that. And he's like, not everything is for sale. And then Drax says, of course, I get what I want.
Yeah, great stuff.
It was
really laying the groundwork.
Yeah, it sets up what his thing is.
Honestly, all of the scenes with Treat Williams, I did enjoy because again, he's in a different movie. You know, like he is campy. He's having some fun. He's playing this up, and I love it. I'm having a great time with him.
He does have he has a couple really good scenes. So. So he's on this quest for the supernatural power. So they're going to send the niece to the jungle to find out what's going on. The police chief,
which is a decision you would never make, by the way, but that's fine.
let me send my niece to the jungle to deal with the bad guys.
What are you talking about?
The
Why?
niece, she has to tag along with some reporter, but whatever.
Just send like a guy. Just be like, this is a guy that works in the newsroom or the mailroom. Just send him. I don't know. Or cannon fodder.
Or it's almost like in The Mummy, you have the brother and then the sister, and the brother plays this great. I mean, everybody.
So good.
You just think about The Mummy. And you just think about all the great roles. Everybody gets a good role.
I think about The Mummy a lot, by the way. It's a perfect film.
Okay, so she gets on the airplane, goes on the airplane. Drax meets this scene.
Is this your favorite scene in the whole movie?
No. This scene is just so. This is your classic movie scene that just is so unnecessary. Drax meets with Dr. Fleming, who's the head librarian at the library, who leaked this information to the newspaper, but he says he didn't leak the stuff, and I'm inclined to believe him that he didn't leak this to the newspaper.
Oh, you believe him?
Yes, because
Dan, can I ask you? Will you look at this microbe underneath this microscope for me for a second, Dan?
I'm inclined to believe him because he doesn't even act scared.
Well, you're a sucker then, Dan. Okay, me and Treat, we know he's a liar. All right, this guy's lying up and down.
He's not lying though. Like that's the one thing I've learned in my improv and about acting is an actor knows what they're supposed to be doing in the scene, right? So they give us these subtle clues. I see
where you're going with it. Okay.
And he is not acting, like if Drax is like, so somebody leaked this to me, and he's like, I'm the only one that has that information, then he should make like a little face like,
right, be like, I didn't, you're caught.
Yes.
You got to be a little bit caught. This guy is like, I didn't do it. I didn't do that. Yeah, okay.
What are you talking about? I'm the only one that has that information. Nobody can have that information. I believe his acting is such that he wants us to believe. And it's like, it can't be like the double switch where he's like acting so good to trick Treat Williams. That's not the point of the movie.
No, but that was his motivation for the scene. He was like, you know what? I need to convince Treat, the actor, that I am indeed innocent. That was what's going through his head.
So
no, Dan, that's very funny. I didn't think about that.
It's just so weird because the scene just doesn't make any sense. You have to have some impending doom.
It gets worse. It gets a little worse here, Dan.
He's like, come, go look in my microscope. I've got something you want to see. The guy goes, looks in the microscope. I don't see it. He's like, look closer. Then he pushes the button.
No. He says you have to adjust the focus knob. He makes this guy stab his own eyes out with the focus knob. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And we set up that he has this microscope on his desk to stab people's eyes out.
He uses this trick all the time. Nobody talks about it. Nobody is ever like, hey, listen, if you go to his office, don't look in the microscope. don't do it.
And I mean, they stabs into the guy's eyes, and he's like, we cut away from it, and we hear him screaming, and it's just, it doesn't seem like what Drax does. It doesn't seem like the guy he is.
Well, I mean, you're right about that. Here's what I'll say though. He tells the guy to look in the microscope. And he says, "I'll hold your glasses." Holds the guy's glasses. The guy stabs his own eyes out. Treat breaks the glasses and says, "I guess you won't be needing these anymore." I was like, "This is unbelievable." But this is the moment where I was like, "This has to be satirical."
Yeah.
Like this, if you are writing a real movie, this scene can't be in it. It's like,
no,
it cannot physically be in a real world. It's so bizarre. And every once in a while, there are scenes where I'm like, no, this is satiric. Like we're making fun of ourselves, right? But I don't know if we are. I'm somewhere in between those two things.
Well, and that's the thing. It is kind of played seriously.
It is 100%. I mean, especially when you're in the Billy Zane scenes.
Yeah.
There's no camp. There's no looking at ourselves in the mirror whatsoever. So it's just these two. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but there was a miscommunication somewhere.
Now, because really, it's these couple of scenes where it just really goes south for me. Their airplane is having trouble. The fandom hears about it on the radio. And then we cut to the plane sitting in a perfectly flat, mirrored thing, which they probably shot on the Paramount lot because you can.
for sure.
There's like this one pond that you can fill up. And it's just sitting there, and this other seaplane floats up, and they start machine gunning it randomly, and then there's like, we want Diana Palmer. They go on, and they grab her, and the girl that grabs her, it turns out to be Catherine Zeta-Jones, and you're just like, whoa, she is super hot,
smoking,
and she punch smacks Diana like.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
it's solid. And then Diana tries to do it back, and they hold her, and like the other bad guys hold her back, and I just thought that was very unfair.
Yeah, life is unfair.
Life is unfair, everybody.
So the Phantom doesn't do anything with the plane, but he's in the captain's office, and we find out that Diana has been kidnapped. Okay. We go out there, and here's the kid that drove the bad guys to the cave. He's holding Devil and Hero the horse. And then the kid tells him where the bad guys are.
So my question is like, does this kid not have a home or parents?
No, he's playing both sides.
Oh, I see. He's trying to look out for number one, and that's himself.
It's whoever's paying, that's who he's
good
he's
for him.
Whoever's
got that dough. He's what's that called? What's that? Mercenary. He's a mercenary.
True mercenary.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
You got to be when you're an Indian kid living in an African jungle.
I don't know. That seems pretty nice over there. Just based on what I've seen in this movie, I'm in.
On a boat, we have the bad guys. I guess are on a boat. Were they on a boat? Maybe they've got Diana tied up.
They are on a boat because eventually they escape on like some sort of.
Oh, they escape on the plane. No. They escape on the plane. They escape on the red plane.
That's right. That is.
They got Luger to her head. The Phantom's on the case. He's checking it out. He sees the boat. Phantom gets on the boat. Who does he burst in on first?
Just a women's locker room with some women changing. It's great.
And these are the bad guys. Catherine Zeta-Jones leads a whole squadron of sexy ladies, sexy air pirates.
So this leads to my favorite line of the film, by the way.
Oh, really?
So he's in that locker room area. A bunch of women changing, and then someone like pulls a gun on him, so he jumps down the laundry chute.
Yes.
Lands at the bottom of the laundry chute. Sees Catherine Zeta-Jones. Oh, sorry.
That's where they've got Diana tied up with Catherine Zeta-Jones in the laundry room? Like you do. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, where else you going to put her, Dan? Okay. She's got to put her to work, right?
Yeah, that is true.
So he jumps down the chute and sees Catherine Zeta-Jones and Diana, and he goes, "What is this? A ship full of women?" I mean, this line is unbelievable. He does not deliver it as a joke whatsoever. It feels like he's genuinely asking Catherine Zeta-Jones, is this a ship full of women? But that line is so funny. It's so funny. Women up here, women out here. What is this, a ship full of women? I almost died. It was so good. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to when we see Catherine Zeta-Jones literally carry Diana into the room and set her on a chair. Legit just carried another person. And I was like, that's cool. Good for you. Good for you.
Phantom immediately unties Diana, steals the gun, and then Catherine Zeta-Jones kisses him.
Just kisses him. What's happening, Dan? What's going on in this movie? So she pulls a gun on him and is holding it to him, and he's looking at Diana with the gun at his back, and he's like, well, you got to be careful with guns. You never know when they're going to like fall out. Or then he just snatches the gun out of her hand, and she just stands there as he then unties Diana. And then her last-ditch effort is to kiss him on the mouth. I'm so confused. I don't understand what's happening, but also Billy Zane makes the wrong choice in this moment.
She was hot. That was a hot.
You stay there. Kiss. You stay there. You say, Diana, just get out. I'm going to stay back here and check things out for a little bit.
I need a convo with someone.
It's just so weird. This movie is so bizarre.
Then Diana gets up and knocks Catherine Zeta-Jones out. Bam.
Yeah, great. Nice payback from the punch.
They go out, the bad guys grab them. One of the bad guy holds a big comical wrench to the Phantom's stomach. Big comical wrench. Big comical wrench.
And yet, somehow this movie, not a satire. I don't understand it, Dan.
Devil attacks. Did you pay any attention to the gun handling of the Phantom?
Not even a little bit, probably. It didn't register. Although I did feel like at one point he was supposed to be pointing it this way, and he was somehow like his hand was cocked sideways, so his arm was on the camera right, but the barrel was pointed camera left. And I just like, where? I don't know where he's shooting right now. It was really weird.
He's terrible. I mean, I don't know anything about guns, but he seemed
me neither.
Incredibly terrible about it.
But I mean, I've seen John Wick, so I know what they're supposed to look like, and this is not what it looked like.
So there's the seaplane. They jump on the seaplane. They fly away. The bad guys are like, oh, they're escaping in a plane. Let's chase them in a truck and horses.
Yep. But the good news is it works. So, I mean, we can make fun of them all we want, but they nailed it.
It was the right choice. Phantom's dog goes and talks to the Phantom's horse, tells the horse what's happening. The horse is like, okay, I'm on this now.
Hold on. We have to reiterate that, Dan, because I think if people haven't seen the movie, they're going to think you're being farcical. This wolf literally walks up to the horse, barks, or whatever. Does a wolf bark? He barks, and then the horse nods. The horse is like, yes, let's do that. And then they run off together. We never talk about that again. There's never any other animals to have a conversation. These two animals had a legitimate conversation in this movie, and we don't talk about it at all. That's crazy, Dan.
You have to give us a line like, she Diana has to say, how did your horse get here? And he's like, well, devil probably told him.
The devil told him all about it.
She looks at him like he's crazy, but we're all like, there it is. The two of them talk.
But instead, we just watch that happen, and we are forced to accept it. There's not a moment to stop. It is wild.
They run out of fuel. She has to climb onto the pontoon, and he jumps onto the horse. She jumps onto the horse.
I don't think this is right.
But it's not right.
So, no, finish, and then I'm going to talk to you about airplanes real quick.
Okay. She jumps onto the horse. He jumps onto the horse. And then they're on the horse, and they've escaped from the plane. And then the airplane
keeps flying straight, and then hits a mountain and blows up. Yeah. I thought they were out of gas.
They're running low on gas, yeah.
They're running low. So can't you just land the plane?
No place to land it.
No place to land it?
Yeah.
You're on an island.
There's a clearing right there. We're losing altitude, and he knows where all the trees are, so he knows what's going to happen.
Okay, he knows what's going to happen. Yeah, he knows exactly. It's wild stuff, man.
There are stunts that get you excited, and then there are stunts that you're just like, oh, now we have to watch another person jump.
Like, why are we doing this? What's happening? And it's not fast. Let me just tell you that he's like, oh boy, we're almost out of gas. Let's climb down. 6 minutes later, they're finally on the horse. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Then boom, here come the bad guys,
Because they were lockstep.
They knew what was happening. Driving through the forest, they could see where the plane was. They crash into a log. The guys on the horses ride to where the secret tribe on the island is, and then they get grabbed by ropes, and everyone's like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And
this is my second favorite line of the movie. Don't brush by it, Dan.
The tribe eats well tonight. Okay, what's
yes?
What's the line?
So they get the bad guys all tangled up, and then Diana asks Phantom. She's like, "How did you do that?" And he says, and I quote, "My friends, the rope people."
No, he doesn't say that.
I swear to God, Dan, I watched it 3 times to make sure. He says the rope people. He doesn't have a real name for this tribe. He just calls them the rope people. That's got to be like the most offensive thing that ever happened in the
There's
world.
no way he says that.
I swear to God to you, Dan, he says the rope people. And it just nonchalantly. That's all. I just can't believe it.
I'm going to order the novelization of the movie, and I'm going to read what happens. Did you have the subtitles on?
We always have subtitles on. I can't escape it in this stupid house. It said the rope people. I'm telling you, Dan, I guarantee you it's rope. ROPE people.
Did you buy this movie or did you just rent it?
I had to buy it. Are you kidding me? Go back and watch it.
I'm going to go back and watch it because I don't think
I'm glad I bought this. I'll definitely watch this again.
He rides her to his secret hideout, which is just a big skull cave that everyone can see.
Which is confusing. If the skulls didn't give him his power, he seems weirdly obsessed with skulls. I understand that now.
Well, that's where they live. Because
he's so obsessed with skulls.
But that's like part of the incantation in the beginning of the thing where he can see the... I mean, he has the power to see ghosts.
You mean ghost?
Yeah,
singular.
I mean...
He only sees one ghost, Dan.
It might be an avatar thing. He might also see his grandpa occasionally, if his grandpa has something to add.
His grandpa's just not as big as a dick as his dad was, so he doesn't come in and mock him all the time.
So he gets there, and he's like, wait here in the cave. Then he runs to his treasure cave, his bonus treasure cave, and he's like, oh, what would she like? What would she like? What would she like? He pulls out a string of black pearls, runs back there, gives her the black pearls.
He just gives her a gift.
He said, I didn't write the line down, but there's like a weird line where he's like, yeah, this is for you.
I wanted to give you something to remember me by.
And she's all like, yeah, I think I'm going to remember by you.
I think I'm going to remember the
shit that went down.
The guy in the purple jumpsuit that just saved my life and we jumped off a plane. Yeah, I'm going to forget you, but thank God I have the pearls.
Oh, remember? What are those pearls? Oh, that reminds me of what happened last week. Oh, Jesus. It's crazy.
It's just so weird.
Here comes the captain guy from the garrison, and he's like smoking out, and his littlest Indian assistant's like, no smoking in the skull cave.
No smoking in the skull
And I mean,
cave.
there you go.
Okay.
There's one of those lines that snuck through where it's like, none of that's real.
That's not, if you're writing a real movie, that line's not in it, right?
So we find out that she's come here to do a job, and then he's like, nope, you're leaving. We're putting you on a plane. You're going home.
We're just going to send you right back.
You've flown you've done all this legwork for nothing. We're just kicking you back out.
Yeah.
And then we get the line that I had to go back and rewatch and turned on the subtitles because I wanted to get this right. The captain says, nobody argues with the Phantom and wins.
Yeah.
You have to call that back.
They kind of call it back, but they miss it at the very end when he asks her, spoiler, when he asks her to marry him or whatever he says, she's like, and what if I refuse? And he says, no one refuses the Phantom, which is super rapey and not what they said earlier. So they should have connected those a little bit better. But they did try.
And then we find out that that's an old jungle saying.
An old jungle saying.
That is an old jungle saying. Okay. Whatever.
What is an old jungle saying? I don't understand what that means. Explain it to me.
Now we're back in New York City. We've brought the skull to Drax. We find out that they polished it with toothpaste.
Why is that even mentioned?
I have no idea. It's
I wrote it down too, and I was just like, "Why are we talking about that? Like, is that going to come back?" But no,
that is
I don't know.
Some inside joke between some people that they put in there.
Maybe that's what they did on set. Maybe like the props department was like, "We got to shine this thing up." They might have got some toothpaste.
Put it in the movie. And we find out that Quill, the henchman guy, killed his dad, Phantom, and has the belt, and at a certain point starts wearing the belt.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Super weird.
I don't notice it earlier, though. That's the weird part about it. Like when they're in the truck and stuff, he's definitely not wearing it.
He was not wearing it, I don't believe. I mean, it could have been and we missed it, but they don't show it to us. They don't say, look at this guy.
They don't make a point of it, yeah.
Yeah. The Phantom as Kit, I don't know what Kit's last name is, has arrived in New York City also.
It's like Walker or
Kit
something,
Walker,
right?
that sounds right, yeah.
Yeah.
He pays the cabbie in a bag of plastic gems, which he says are valuable.
Which they're not. They're not valuable.
And somehow the guy's supposed to wait for him, but he also has time to go out and get them appraised.
To go get them appraised? What are you talking about? What? He was only in there for 10 minutes. Where did this cabbie go? Get an appraisal and then come back and wait for him? Come on.
This is actually a scene I kind of liked. Drax is in the meeting room, head of police, head of the mob, blah, 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 tell him about how he's got these skulls going on, going to make this power. And there's one of the gangster guys named Ray.
Ray.
He's doing the thing, and he's like, I need to get the 3 skulls. And he's like, kind of like, yeah, but you only got one of them. He kind of like roasts him about only having one.
He kooks on him. He turns and he goes, Raymond, Ray, I know the location of the second skull, okay? I was just like, what is happening?
This could have been a great scene if they really just played this whole thing up. And
100%.
You know, he's like, I'm not going in for this supernatural mumbo jumbo. I was an altar boy. And he gets up and, you know, he's...
Hold on. Don't do the end, because I have to talk about this line real quick. He's like, I'm an altar boy. So are you. And then in the next sentence, he goes, I don't believe in anything but the power of something that comes out of a gun or something. I was like, well, then why did you talk about being an altar boy? You're an altar boy because you're godly and you don't believe in the supernatural, or you believe in guns and who cares? Doesn't make any sense. This character is not very well defined. Okay.
The scene doesn't work, but
it doesn't.
Him roasting him about only having one of the 3 skulls,
which is great. And then the end of the scene's great. I didn't mean to interrupt. Finish it up.
It picks a spear off. Drax picks a spear off the wall. Throws the spear at him.
He throws a spear and kills him against the wall.
Kills him with a spear. And once again,
I mean,
yeah, we're like spear. Microscope with blades. We need a consistency to the weird ways he's going to kill people.
This guy doesn't care how he does it, Dan. He's just going to kill people for fun.
Getting it done. And then Ray's buddy's like, okay, I'm in charge of the criminal activity. Fine. Boom. Diana has arrived back at her dad's building. Here's Jimmy, the guy that macks on her. He's like still macking on her, and then she goes up to the office, and then boom, here's Kit. And we find out that 6 years ago, they were friends in college, you know, more than just friends. And, and, you know, there was a relationship there, but he went back to the island.
Without telling her, apparently.
Without telling her, not ever communicating.
Yeah, she says he disappeared, so...
And then we lay out that there's 3 skulls, and then Jimmy, this random character who has nothing to do in the movie, goes like, "Oh yeah, I know where one of those is."
One of those.
Once again, really great scripting. Just that you have random dude in the room who's like,
he's like, I saw one of those one time. Yeah, I remember a skull.
I know.
As if there couldn't be any other skulls. But he's like, I know exactly the skull you're talking about.
I got you.
But also then he goes on to tell him that it's in like the Museum of Natural History or some shit. What is it called?
World History.
Of world history. So it's in a very famous museum, I assume, on display, and nobody else knows where this thing is? Except for this one guy?
One random guy. Yeah. It's very convenient. They go back down there. The cabbie is waiting. In the cab ride, he's macking on Diana some more. You vanished. And then my pops died. And I had to go take over the family business. We find out that the year is 1939. I guess maybe we talked about that earlier.
I don't know if we did. I'm honest. I don't
know. Boom. They go inside. And once again, you know, the 2 of them walk in there and they see this display with the skull in it, and he starts getting bent out of place because it's misdisplayed. It's not where it should be.
It's in the wrong time period. It's something else. He's all mad about it.
It was kind of funny. And then he's like, we got to get it. And she's all like, well, we can. And then he has just picked up a stanchion and throws it
through the glass. And there's no alarm that goes off, by the way. I think that's false.
1939.
You don't think they had alarms in 1939?
Not on something like this, no.
Boy, I bet a lot of stuff got stolen back
Probably. And then, boom, as soon as he has it, we turn around and there's Drax with all of his henchmen. And Drax is all like saying to the people there, I'm security. I'm in charge. There's snacks and sandwiches in the Hall of Nature. Y'all go down there.
Unbelievable. Great. Just really funny stuff. I don't know.
And I believe right at the end he goes, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yep. That's exactly what he does.
That was one of my favorite line readings of the whole movie.
Because he is wonderful. He's great in this movie.
And then he's like, who are you? A fellow collector. And then he puts the two skulls in the one bag and they start smoking. And then this is his most fun scene. This is his most fun scene.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
By far.
So we have to talk about this because then we're going to talk about it again later. There is a callback, sorta.
Oh.
Treat goes, who are you?
Yeah.
And Billy Zane answers, Kit Walker. And then for some reason, Treat goes, and who is Kit Walker? And I was like, what does that mean?
Well, he's, your name doesn't mean anything to me.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, it's just it's a funny way of saying that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, I've never heard of you. And he's just like, and who is Kit Walker? Like, explain more to me. Who is this Kit Walker? I just love it. And then later, that plays into when he meets the pirate, but we'll put a pin in that.
Oh, okay. So the skull starts smoking, and then he just starts going crazy. He's like, it's beautiful! And then, and then the stained glass windows all started exploding, and he's like, I love
for no
this!
Reason. Yep.
And then there's just this randomly placed map high on the wall, and the lasers shoot out of the two things. Yeah, of course.
So, first of all, they say earlier that the two skulls together will lead you to the third skull. That's the whole thing.
He says that. The Phantom never gets that.
That's
he
true.
knows
You're right about that. You're right.
Treat knows that. Which is interesting that he would know it based on nothing.
I mean, that's how these things work in this movie.
If the Phantom knew that, it would be more interesting, right?
Sure.
He's like, we can't let him get the second thing because then that'll point him to the third thing.
It'll point him.
And then when it happens that they start pointing to where he needs to go, he needs to make that realization. The Phantom's going to try and stop it, but then Drax has that realization. That's dramatic. The way they have it now, you've got it backwards.
You got it backwards, but it's just great that there's a map on the wall because it turns out the way that the skull points them to the third skull is it laser pointers on the map on the wall of the location of the third skull. So imagine if you had gone to a room without a map. How would it have told you where it's going to go?
Would have had to shoot a further laser beam. You'd have to follow that laser beam to a map.
It's just so weird.
His
I love it.
Final line when it's shooting up there, he goes, "Wow,
wow!" Oh, it's good. Yeah, he kooks a little in this scene, and I love it. It's great.
Everybody walks out. They take off. The cabbie follows. We ask somebody who their name is, and then they get beat up. I guess maybe it's Kit Walker, but they already know his name.
They sure do. Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever. So he's like, go throw him off the roof. They go up to the stairway. He fights them in the stairway, slips into the electrical room. Oh, no, the machine room. Quick changes. Yeah, the machine. Then they come and they all fight in the machine room for a little while. Then they leave and lock him in the machine room.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't win the fight, just, lock him in a room where he can't get out. That's pretty smart, actually.
Oh, then he goes down the elevator shaft, doesn't he?
Yeah, sure.
I guess he escapes through the elevator shaft.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Turns out the bad guys have figured out where they need to go.
And where do they have to go, Dan?
Oh no, hold on. He hasn't slid down the elevator yet. They have to go to the Devil's Vortex.
The Devil's Vortex. And what happens in the Devil's Vortex?
It's the same as the Bermuda Triangle.
It's the exact same as the Bermuda Triangle. Could they not say Bermuda Triangle in this? I was just, he literally goes, we have to go to the Devil's Vortex. And one of his henchmen is like, the place where all those ships keep disappearing? I was like, what, you mean the Bermuda Triangle? What's happening?
And the island they go to is kind of Bermuda Triangle, which I think, well, because Bermuda Triangle, like one of the things is that, people from all age, you got to find people from all ages there. And it kind of, the bad guys kind of are from all ages, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know. It's bizarre.
The police captain, he tells the police captain to kill the Phantom. The police captain slides down the elevator, follows the car, and gets chased by cops, but then also has to steal a horse. And then there's police on motorcycles. These motorcycles that the police are driving back in 1939 can do some fantastic things.
They sure can. They look a lot like motorcycles that might be made in nowadays.
And had some
stuff in 1996 with some paint
glued on them that makes it look like they're old timey.
Yep.
My favorite is they're going through like Central Park, and here's the police on their motorcycles, and he's like riding on his horse, and they're both like, you're like, what is happening? These police are just shooting at him.
Open firing. Yeah. Oh, it's good.
He goes into the zoo that's there, which I guess they shot at the Los Angeles Zoo, maybe. I think I read that.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Good jump scare. The guys are walking around and boom, a tiger jumps at them. That was a good jump scare.
It sure was. And unexpected because that doesn't fit in this movie, but I loved it. Way to, bring in new tools. That's, you got to keep your audience on their toes.
They're blabbing.
In the car?
No,
the car ride is great.
The two cops are blabbing.
Okay.
And then eventually he's like in the pen with the tiger. He climbs out. They see him. They think they maybe shoot at him. And he gets to do some of his best phantom creeping. Where he's kind of like juking
the
this way.
The ghost who walks.
Yeah. Now I wrote girls fight in the car ride. I guess Catherine Zeta-Jones and Diana are in the car and they're fighting.
So, yeah, Diana's looking back and she's like, he's going to come. And then Catherine Zeta-Jones is like, he's not going to come. He's probably already dead. And then Diana says, why are you so mean? And I lost my shit again. Why are you so mean? I mean, that doesn't belong in any movie, but I loved it. Just genius writing right there.
He's in the cab. He's talking to his dad, and we find out that Quill was the one that killed him. And then he's all like, "Dad, there's a girl," and Dad's like,
"Fine."
Dad like shakes his hand, like, "Good job finding a girl."
It's so weird.
It's weird. The bad guys get on like this another pontoon boat, and the Phantom hangs onto the pontoon the whole time.
He Tom Cruised it before Tom Cruise got to hang out a plane. You know what I mean?
Well, what's his name? Indiana Jones did it with the submarine in the first movie.
But that's different than a plane, Dan.
Same bit.
Okay, one of them goes through the air, one of them goes through the water.
We have this weird went through the water. We have a weird couple scenes on the plane where they're like doing smoke rings, eating donuts.
Yeah. Yep. No reason other than I think just to fill time to make it feel like they're traveling somewhere. Because if you just he jumped on the boat or the plane and then he's just there, you don't really feel like he's been hanging on very long. So.
And then boom, through the fog, they see an island. The Phantom almost falls off, but he doesn't. They land, and at a certain point, he bails off so that,
into the water.
And then they get on a little boat, and we begin Act 3.
Woo! Great. The first two acts, perfect. Absolutely perfect. No notes.
They go into the cave on their little boat. Talk about where we're doing Act 3.
In a cave. What do you mean?
What's in the cave, Tony?
It's a pirate ship that's been, I don't know, crashed. Is it a crashed pirate ship, or is it floating?
It's like Pirates of the Caribbean.
It is 100%, and it's great. Also, they mentioned the black pearls. That's what he gives her as a gift. Black pearls.
Did give her black pearls.
Do you think that this is this what began the Pirates of the Caribbean?
It's proto. They protoed it up. it's just so weird. There's like a little it's almost like a little town, but it's not, because you know that no one lives here, and they're it's
Well,
not
the pirates live there.
They're not really stomping on sand. They're stomping on like a fiberglass that's on the ground.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
And there's like, we're going to find out there's a weird little submarine bay that you can like make the submarine turn to shoot.
I was very confused about that. I don't understand how or why that's there. But because this is the Bermuda Triangle, right? So I guess these are just ships that have been lost to time, even maybe the future.
Yeah, could be. Boom! Some weird guys appear, and they're the Sang Brotherhood, and we're like, well, here's the Sang, but I guess Crete isn't part of the Sang Brotherhood.
Right, it's just the one guy. Just the one henchman that we followed at the beginning has the tattoo. Nobody else does. So he shows his tattoo, and he's like, we're all the same, but they're not all the same. It's a lie.
They're not buying it. And this is the point at which Catherine Zeta-Jones's character switches from being a bad guy to being a good guy.
Sides.
Because one of the bad guys is trying to take Diana as her own, and so she's all like, girl power.
Fights him off and says, I think us girls should stick together. Now, in my mind, this all changed in the car ride. When Diana said, why are you so mean? Catherine was like, why am I so mean? You know what? That's a great question. She did some soul searching on the way to the cave, and she's good now.
Should we have done like a scene when they were on the plane where she's like, where you have the thought bubble, and she's like, I am mean. Why am I mean?
Huh. Weird.
I should work on that.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, when she switches sides, I was so confused. There is no inclination that it's going to happen. She just fully switches. It's great.
It's great. We've got in the lagoon, there's sort of a river that's sort of not in the cave. There's sort of a river that sort of goes around, and here we go. Two sharks in shark formation. Two plastic sharks that they pull on a rope to make it look like they're swimming. I love those sharks.
So my favorite part of this is when Drax meets the head pirate.
Well, hold on 1 second before we do that.
Oh, okay.
The Phantom has worked his way in there, and he runs around and does his Phantom moves and tries to act like something dynamic is happening when nobody knows he's there and nobody knows where he's at.
And then Catherine Zeta-Jones sees him doesn't tell on him.
She does see him at a certain point.
Yeah.
Does he give her does he give her the quiet, or he gives her something?
He does something. It might just be a nod. I can't remember, but he does acknowledge that they made eye contact for sure.
So the Asian pirates shows up, and what happens when the Asian pirate shows up?
Okay. All right. So he comes out, the pirate leader comes out, and they have this scene again where it's like, who are you? Hold on. He says, who are you? And he's like, I'm Drax. What is his name?
Xander Drax.
And then he spells his name for him.
Xanderdra. It's very funny.
I've never seen that before in a movie in my entire life. Literally spells his name out so that he'll know. 2 X's. It's so good.
Now, wait a second. Now, I've written down a line. Treat pulls out the skulls.
You wrote something down?
And then he says, you represent the peg leg Pete's. Why does he say that?
So he's saying, he's like, we should combine our forces because I'm the future and you are like this old, and he does. He says peg leg Pete's, and he said something else. And he's like, with our powers combined, it's not a great sales pitch. That's all I'll say.
We also find out that with the 4th skull, you can control the power, I think the pirate tells him that.
Yeah, the pirate's like, and what about the 4th skull? Nobody knew about the 4th skull except for the pirate. I don't know if I buy it.
The one mobster they have with them, he gets mad, and so they shoot him with a cannon, and he his body flies across the room, which is a dummy.
Just flails. It's great.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
It's very
stuff.
silly. and it's a cannonball.
And you're telling me this isn't a satirical movie? This is it's tongue in cheek. I'm telling you.
And then the Phantom swings in, and then we have a bunch. She shouts the swords right out of their hands at one point. Drax runs away. The bad guy swings down, fights with the bad guy. The bad guy falls in with the sharks. They run out of bullets. I think they cut something, and a net falls out of the ceiling.
Wait, Dan. This is nonsense, by the way. This battle is nonsense.
Yeah.
But there's a great moment we missed that I got to shout out. When Treat is trying to convince the Pirate King, that's what I'm gonna call him, Pirate King, to join forces, he's like, there's been a lot of talk about the Phantom. He's like, but guess what? We've got this. This is his girlfriend, and like gives Diana over to the Pirate Queen, and the Pirate King is like, "Oh, good, I'm gonna enjoy this later." And Treat Williams goes, "Oh, good, personal pleasures. I overlooked that." He's so good. If this movie was just on the level of Treat Williams,
sure,
it would be a cult classic for sure. It wouldn't have landed at the time, I don't think.
Probably not.
But I think that it would have lived on in infamy for sure. Like, people would love it now.
What are you doing? You're making all sorts of weird noises. You got the hiccups? I think the dog has the hiccups.
Oh, no.
You got the hiccups? Maybe not.
Tell her to bend over and hold her breath. And then drink water.
Yeah, we got it. Okay. We put the girls in the sub, and then he's messing with
They do the Dan Goodsell line here.
What is
because they're like, well, how do you know where it's going to go? And he's like, I'm going to look down the periscope and make sure it's clear. Great. What? You don't need to do that.
He does,
but good on them.
He does look down the periscope. He runs the controls. And then somehow he loses the third skull to Drax. He fights Quill and takes his dad's belt back. I write the skulls fly around, and then Drax lasers Quill, so Quill's dead.
Yeah, on accident. His own man.
Then he lasers at the Phantom, and then the Phantom skull ring. It's purple versus green, and then
it like lasers back somehow. I don't understand how it works, but that's fine.
Everything blows up. The submarine has shot out. Somehow there's a chain behind the submarine, and then the Phantom grabs the chain to be dragged out. Is that what happens?
It's like when you go tubing, like you're on that rope, and that's his rope. I will say I did like some of these stunts as this cave is exploding.
Yeah.
And people are like flipping off the ship and explosions. It reminds me of a lot of like going to see the Waterworld show at Universal Studios.
Sure.
It's great. By the way, if you've never seen that show, go see that show. It's really cool.
They still have that show, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Like that's how cool it is. Because they jump off like high dives and shit. It's awesome. But that's what it reminded me of. I thought that was all right. It was pretty cool.
Do they still run the same exact cowboy show in that one theater that they've been running since the 70s?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't go to cowboy shows. I go to Waterworld shows.
Everything blows up. He holds onto the sub chain, and then the whole island just blows up, just for good measure.
Yeah, everything's gone.
Somehow they're now back in the jungle.
Well, first the sub stops and he climbs on board opens the door, and he's like, we're safe, but they're in the middle of the ocean. Yeah. And the submarine has stopped running. I don't understand. But then now they transport back to the jungle.
So I guess they took the sub all the way back to where they needed to be.
I guess, yeah.
He tells the story to Diana in the cave. There's a plane waiting, and for somebody comes in and says there's a plane waiting for Mrs. Palmer. And then he horse rides her to the plane, and Catherine Zeta Jones is driving the plane.
Hold on. You're skipping over very important details here.
I find
the
that hard
story that he's telling her in his cave of wonders is that he needs to pass the mantle down to his son. He is propositioning this woman to to have his children
Yes.
in this cave right now.
So there's more phantoms coming soon.
So there's more phantoms in the future. And it is so weird. I don't know how you felt about it, but I was very uncomfortable with this story as he's holding her captive in his cage. So then he goes to he horses her over to the plane, and Catherine Zeta-Jones is there. And then Diana's like, hey, take off your mask.
Kit
Walker.
Because she figured it out. And then he's all like, I intend to marry you. And
well, he says, I can only take off my mask for the one I am to marry.
Yes.
However, there are two women here. Catherine Zeta-Jones is a mere 20 feet away.
That's true.
And they've already kissed. Just saying.
Okay. So, but it was the whole idea of this sort of chasteness that he needs to have a wife that he marries to make his kids, to make more phantoms. It was weird. It was super weird. And I want to see the sequel where he's trying to force himself to get married. And she's like, I'm not interested. I don't like you. Don't put on the phantom. And then he's like,
so weird.
No one refuses the phantom.
No one refuses the phantom.
But she didn't. They act like she refused him, but it didn't even feel like she really refused him. She's just like, I'm leaving.
Playfully. She's teasing. She was like, oh, and what if I refuse? But she's not gonna. He's wearing a purple spandex suit. Who's going to say no to that?
He was wearing a purple spandex suit. So the Phantom, not
some
like Minecraft
stuff.
where you're like, this was a truly enjoyable movie. You're like, there's some funny things in it.
Yeah, no, this movie made me laugh. I had fun, but this is not a good movie.
No, not a good movie.
Important distinction. Minecraft, watched it again this week. Did I tell you that?
Did you? And enjoyed it?
Yeah, watching it. Yeah, still good.
Super fun.
Still good. I thought even some of the stuff was even funnier the second time.
Oh, good. Good for them. Good.
I enjoyed it.
All people I want to see have success. There it is. Let's see. What are we doing? That's the end of the Phantom. Goodbye, Phantom. I guess they made Sci-Fi made a TV series, which I think it was the 22nd Phantom. So they,
Oh, so so it was his son.
Yeah.
I wonder if either of them make an appearance as the parents.
I don't think so. Billy Zane. I don't know whatever happened to Billy Zane. I have to assume he's in bad movies.
This movie happened to Billy Zane. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, who knows? Okay, now we talk about something we like. What'd you like doing this week?
Well, let me clarify again. Similar how we just clarified to this movie, I enjoyed something that was not good at all. It's a new horror movie called The Bayou. It is basically alligators or crocs. I think it's gators. I can't tell the difference. In Florida, get cocained up. And then they start eating people. It's people are trying to escape from the gators. It's really bad, but we had a blast. We had an absolute blast watching this movie.
Had some fun. God, I watched something, and it was very painful. Very, very painful. And so then I was like, well, I'll go watch the first 5 minutes of Andor.
Oh, sure.
And then I ended up watching the complete first
just all of it.
Just the first episode. And you're just
okay. Yeah.
You're just like, there's just a difference.
Did you finish the second season? Are you caught up on Andor?
No, I just started the second season. I just watched the first episode.
Okay.
And I cried about 10 minutes into it because it was so beautiful.
Dan Goodson.
Just like you were like
such a sap.
Just like every decision they make in that show, you're just like, it's just there's characters and there's jeopardy. And I guess that was the thing. You watch the very first scene is he's in an Imperial place to steal a TIE fighter, like a special one. And there's a woman helping him do it. And you were just like, this is a character you've never met. So Andor's going to get out of there. He's going to live.
Yeah.
But you're just like, this character could live or die. Like, to do the thing that, they're doing. And it's a character you've never met, but you instantly have emotional investment in them because because they could
Look at that.
they could just die, and they could just take one to the head, and you're just gonna be like, is this revolution worth it? You're automatically confronted with the idea of, is this revolution worth this woman risking her life and possibly dying? Those are stakes.
That's stakes
that they built into within 90 seconds of this thing starting. You understand the stakes for everyone, and then they go into a Mon Mothma scene, and you watch her be like a diplomat, and then you just see her face, and then they have what's his name, Skarsgård. It's the same thing, here's this character I'm playing, and then you're like, but I'm also the most important spy in the universe.
Sure.
How are we mere mortals trying to create something interesting supposed to deal with that level of storytelling? It's the same level of storytelling in Michael Clayton.
But also Crichton was great.
Crichton was, very
sphere,
very tall. I met him once. Very, very tall.
Really?
He came into the gallery I worked at because he was a huge art collector. Very tall.
Okay, sure.
Very, very tall.
I love that.
Yeah,
Good for him.
Good for him.
Tall, famous writer. I mean, that's not bad.
Nah, unfortunately dead.
Well, R.I.P. I understand. I just, meant while he was alive. Sheesh, Dan.
Yeah, we're still alive, so we still have a chance to get to those glorious
I don't have a chance to get taller or better at writing. I'm sorry. I'm too old to learn anything new.
You're never too old to get better at writing.
I'm already on my downslide.
Tony.
Yes.
What is happening? We're like in this slide. I mean, The Phantom, not a good movie, but not a movie. We need to go back to the Drive Away Dolls level of movies.
I don't know if this is going to reach that level.
Where I want to hold someone accountable. I want to meet someone on the street, and I'm just going to say, why the hell did you do that to us?
Well, how about someone named John Krasinski? What about him? What about somebody named Natalie Portman?
I had this on her? I had this on my list.
We watched 11 minutes of this movie.
Yes.
That is what I want to hear.
That's what I want to hear.
Naomi looked at me. She goes, "Turn it off. You have to do this for the podcast," because we spent 11 minutes just mad and yelling at the TV about how shitty this movie was. So maybe it gets better. Who knows? But I doubt it. So we are doing The Fountain of Youth on Apple TV Plus.
Okay.
Or is it just Fountain of Youth? Fountain of Youth.
Fountain
No,
of Youth. Here's my question to you.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of bad movies. The Phantom, you liked it. I was like, but I will not forget the Treat Williams. And it's an interesting one to, when you research it afterwards, you're like, oh, I'm really sad it was not the movie it could have been.
Sure.
Because we think about The Mummy, because, we talked about The Mummy in relation to some other terrible movie. I don't remember what it was.
I think we do a bunch of, I don't know, but maybe it was I don't know.
There was something we watched this year that I literally went.
Was it Prince of Persia?
Oh, it probably was Prince of Persia. I'm
not sure.
Because I immediately went and it was Prince of Persia. I immediately, after I finished, or maybe during it, I had to watch some of The Mummy just to understand what it is they're trying. You need to understand. Like this movie, we understand they're trying to do like an Indiana Jones thing, and we're like, you missed on all. You missed on everything.
You didn't. Yeah. So the good news is you'll feel the same way, and you'll probably go watch The Mummy again. But I would say instead watch National Treasure.
Very silly movies, but you remember, I've got Ben Franklin's glasses, and I'm climbing up this wall, and I'm pulling out this one brick, and look inside here. There's this scroll. You're just like,
what are you talking about?
They get to the end, we're like, we hand crank down this thing, and it's probably gonna all fall down and kill everyone, but we're doing it.
Yeah, it almost does.
And there's the bad guys. They're also running down the thing, and that's fun. National Treasure.
It's great. Yeah,
phenomenally stupid movies. Totally enjoyable.
Yes. So fun. So fun. And this movie was, for 11 minutes, was not fun at all. It was zero fun. The dialogue makes no sense. I'm excited to watch it because I was genuinely excited for this movie.
Sure.
I've been waiting for this movie.
Wow.
These are my kind of movies. I love National Treasure is great. The Mummy's great. Like, I love these movies.
Yeah.
This was not good for at least 11 minutes. I'm saying it could get better, but I really don't believe it.
I was going to pick this movie sight unseen or just to give it a shot because I was like, this is going to be bad. I mean,
it's not looking good.
And it's like I did not like the Quiet Place ones, but I didn't think John Krasinski or anybody in those movies was bad. I just thought they were kind of. I just thought it was dopey. It wasn't. It wasn't a bad movie. I just thought it was a dopey movie that you're just like you watch when you're not feeling well, and then it's over, and you're like, whatever.
Sure. I mean, I liked the first one. We never ended up watching the sequel, so obviously I didn't love the first one. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I do enjoy it. Yeah. I will tell you, just be warned, he is charmless in this movie. From what I saw, the first 11 minutes.
I know he could be charming. I know he can.
We thought so too. We were pretty sure, but then we're like trying to figure out if anything but The Office fits that bill, and we're not sure. But that was like the first thing that I got mad. We'll talk about it next week, but he has the opening scene kind of, and it's so bad. Oh, so it's so bad that I was livid.
You watched Act 1 and you were like, this is your Act 1. Oh.
This can't be right. This can't be right.
Oh, I'm so excited now.
Yeah, it's going to be good. We're having a good time.
I have a good movie too from 2023 and it was a movie that I also watched the first 10 minutes of when it came out. Right. And I was just like, what is happening? What is happening? And it's one of those, just not that any of these are like John Carter, but they're these movies that people are like, you got to give it another look. And it's like, well, no, I don't. We rewatched John Carter from top to bottom, and it did not need another look. There was so much dopiness.
Yeah. So much dopiness.
Okay, we'll be back next week. Leave us a comment. Leave us a subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Those are all things you can do to help grow the podcast /show.
/show. Yeah, do it, everybody. And we'll be back next week with Fountain of Youth.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Hey,